step number one. Let's get into this one. So there are several steps that we have to go through to make sure that your presentation could be as persuasive as possible to give you the results that you want. So open with an attention grabber. Sometimes we talked about credibilities. Okay, credibilities is a must that we have to mention. But before you talk about your credibility, you have to make sure that everyone is listening. So how do we open your presentation that you grab people's attention first and then introduce yourself? Okay, it doesn't have to go with this order, but what I'm saying is that this would be a good order. Grab attention first and credibility after, because you want to make sure your credibility has the maximum impact on the people sitting down there listening to you. So, attention grabber, okay? It's a tall order. That means that it's difficult to achieve. When we speak, we have about 30 to 60 seconds to capture our audience attention, establish credibility, direct them to our topic, and motivate them to listen. Don't waste the precious opening opportunity. So when I say 30 to 60 seconds, to be exact, I will give you the exact number the scientists actually discover for this time. It's 37 seconds in average. The audience in a presentation situations would give the speaker. They will give you 37 seconds to run through this, and they will decide, should I trust the speaker? So you have to use your time wisely because it's precious. Very precious. Once it's gone, disappeared. For you to grab that attention back, to grab the trust back, you have to spend a lot more effort to do so. Say, if you only have 20 minutes to present, it's very likely that you will never get your audience back once they decide not to trust you, because you fail to build that credibility, you fail to grab their attention in the beginning of the presentation. Very important. Not to scare you though, when I get to this point, a lot of people will say, what? I'm already scared of giving a presentation, and now you're telling me that I have 37 seconds to make sure my presentation is done right in the opening, so I don't think I can do it. That's not true. Takes practice. Takes practice. So I always say that, I never enjoy presentation previously when I was a student, okay, before I started my career, or even like in the beginning of the career, I hated it. I hated to talk in front of people. Okay, so what changed? What changed from the past until now is that if you really want to have your voice heard, for my case, I feel like I have a lot of valuable things to share. If I want to share these things that would help people, if I don't have that persuasive presentation skills, I cannot get my message across to you. So I really need to train myself. So it really comes down to how bad you want it. Is there like a motivation that drives you to achieve something? And for me, my motivation is for me to pass knowledge onto other people, because that means a lot to me. I really want this. So to be effective speaker, I need to master this presentation skills. So that's why I worked on it, and I enjoyed it. I enjoy that fear. Every time when I stand in front of 100, 200, even like 10 people sometimes, okay, 5 people, I still get nervous, okay? It's a natural feeling, but how do I manage that fear? It takes practice and skills. And also, how much do you believe in your message? How much do you believe in the effort you put into your project? Do you love what you do? Okay, then once you get that figured out, presentation skills would be something that you really want to work on. It's not because your job requires you to do it. It's because that you want to do a good job on something. Okay, so let's keep going. Techniques to choose. Several things that you can do. You can do startling factors. So we talked about in the first introductory class as well. Provocative statement. That's a startling factor. How do you shock people? Personalization. Raise your hand if you have done this. You personalized some message, okay, for each and every one of the audience. You personalize that. Have you done this before? Put up your hands, okay? All right. So next one, questions, okay? You can ask questions, rhetorical questions, because you don't really want like people to shout answers and you have to respond. They can shout answers to you, but you can move on, okay? That's question techniques to get people's attention. Storytelling, okay, of course. We talked about in also the first class, storytelling. I didn't get into details, but we will today, finally, okay? It's fun. Simple technique, but takes practice. None of this is easy, okay? I have to be honest with you. None of this is easy unless you practice and you get that opportunity to present that you can use, and the more you do, the better you get. All right, and famous quote, that's the simplest one. Just talk about quotes that other famous people, other success people have said in the past, because that creates that instant credibility, instant, respectiveness, what's the word, okay? Anyway, so that's, other people said it, and you agree with that person, so that makes you respectable as well, all right? So that's a simple one. So let's talk about startling factor. How do you shock people, okay? Instagram can boost your fitness motivation. Really? Okay. So yeah, most people will be like, really? So Instagram can boost your fitness motivation. Wow. Okay. Tell me more now. Okay, of course, if it's a group of people who wants to get healthier, have a healthier lifestyle, they would be like, really? Okay. I'm willing to listen now. Tell me more. So let's say in Taiwan, we call that IG. IG can increase your fitness motivation. Okay, what is it good for? Grabbing your audience attention, challenging expectation. Okay, so people will be like, nah, get out of there. Like Instagram, a photo sharing app can increase your fitness motivation. Really? You're challenging my expectation now. So that's actually the purpose. So it's a good one. So you have to think about how you can use startling factors to start your presentation, even for business. People say that status report in a meeting, okay, progress update in a meeting, we cannot use startling factor. Not true. It's just that you don't have the opportunity to think about it yet, okay? So you can say shock factor, just example, not a perfect one, just the one that I thought about right now on the spot. You can start a presentation, let's say, if the project is delayed, okay? You can say that, with my proposal, I can tell you right now that we can deliver the project on time, even ahead of schedules, only if you support me. Shock them. Shock them in the beginning. So what's your proposal now? Please tell me. Okay, at the end you will say, give me more money. Okay, but just kidding. But shock your audience in the beginning. It's very effective. Grab them, challenge expectations. Okay, grab their attention from the start. Startling factor, very important skills to have. Next one, personalization technique. This one is very easy. Raise your hand if you have if you had a conversation about starting exercising with your friends or loved ones. So you are asking a question to engage your audience to think about their personal experiences. This is why it's called personalization, because you ask a question to have your audience reflect back to their memories and think about whether or not they have the same experiences before. So effective because making your audience care, making complex ideas simple. So if you want to talk about get engaged, get active, exercise more. Okay, how do you do that? Or I'm going to talk about the scientists' research because the scientists last month actually published this articles that if you do this in the morning at 7 o'clock, you can increase 20% of your lifespan and blah, blah, blah. And then people will be like, oh, God, okay, how long is this going to take? But if you ask a question in the beginning, like a personal experience questions, raise your hand if you have done this, okay? Then people will be like, yeah, me, okay? Or, yeah, my colleague, my cousins, my uncles, they do that. And people will start thinking like, oh, okay, it has something to do with my life too, because I am connected to this topic right now. So important to personalize your opening to the audience. And question technique, similar way to structure your question. Okay, raise your hand if you know someone who exercises regularly. So you are also asking your audience to go down that memory lane to find out whether or not there's a person in your life who has the experiences. So you ask questions. Of course, in this sentence, it's not in the question form, but you ask them a question for them to reflect back through their memories to see if they can relate. Helping the audience to recognize the problem or come to some conclusion. So recognize the problem, meaning that, oh, yeah, in my life, I know someone who exercises regularly, not me, but my boss. And my boss is filled with energy, okay? Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe not, I don't know, okay? So you help your audience to recognize the topic, okay, that has something to do with your life. So very much like the last one, personalize the message. But for this one, it's just a question. Storytelling. And I've said this before, when you tell a story, you don't want to tell the audience that you are going to share a story, okay? For example, some people would say, I got a really interesting story that I want to share with you today. No, don't say that, just start, okay? You just open your stories, like, I'll never forget that day back in the summer of 2008. And people will be like, what happened in 2008? You never forget. There must be something interesting. Okay, what happened to it? Okay, so instantly, your audience is following you through your story. Okay, but if you tell them that I got a story, interesting story to share, and people will be like, interesting, huh? Let's wait and see how interesting it is. Or if you say, I got a funny story, and people will be like, funny, really? Okay, I'll see how funny you are. Okay, so people would form a judgment. But introducing the story right away, you catch people off guard. Okay, people are like, oh, what's going on? Okay, 2008, okay, let me keep listening. Okay, what's going on? So you just take them right into that story. It's very powerful, okay? Instead of, giving them an opening like, oh, there's a story. So what is it good for? Explaining ideas in an accessible way. So it's accessible because it's a story. And people would think like, oh, the summer 2008, what was I doing in summer 2008? I also have some memory as well. But, okay, it's accessible because it sounds like a personal experience. Maybe I had the same thing before. And synchronizing the audience emotion with your own. So story actually can sync the audience and speaker's emotion, because once you are tapped or clicked, connected with the audience, it's very easy to guide them through your emotion, because you can say that, I'll never forget that summer 2008. I almost lost my life because I was a very heavy person and I thought that I might die. And when you use your tone, when you use the words to convey a message, and people can actually follow that emotion, worried, upset, angry, okay? And then happy. So you are guiding them through with series of emotions through storytelling. Also very powerful. Next one, famous quote. Famous quote is the easiest thing that we can use. If you can really think of a good story to share, if you can really think of a shock factor, the startling factors, or personalization or question, then find a good quote. Okay, a really good quote can actually do a lot of things for you. As the American founding father, Benjamin Franklin, so Benji, once said, "Well done is better than well said." Oh, that's very true. I agree with you. So when I agree with Benjamin Franklin, I must agree with the speaker as well. So you get that instant credibility because of the social proof of my respect to American founding father. Of course, you have to make sure your audience know who the person is, okay? The quote is coming from a person that they know. If you talk about some famous quote by, a famous person, but that's not, famous, famous is not a good word, but it's not like people in that region or people in Taiwan are not familiar with that particular person, then that message may not have the same effect. So giving your talk respectability, okay, that's a tough word to say, respectability. Summing up an argument or an idea. So you can sum up your idea, sum up your argument because some famous person also agree with you. So this is powerful, done in the way that you need to find a quote that's relevant to your message, relevant to the audience. If you can find a quote that fits these two requirements, relevant to your message, relevant to your audience, then feel free to use that quote, okay? Because it would be very, very helpful for the ending of the presentation.